All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Mentor Connect. I'm here with Luke Still. He is the student pastor at Grace Baptist Church down in Deerfield Beach, Pompano Beach, North Fort Lauderdale, whatever you want to call it. They're in Broward County. And Luke, you were at Pompano Beach High School. Is that correct? Or Deerfield Beach High School? What school are you at?
I oversee 16 schools, but the main schools that I'm on campus for: Somerset, Academy Key, Deerfield Beach High.
That's right.
I've been at Pompano twice this year, Pompano High, Pompano Middle as well. But Deerfield Beach High, Somerset, those are I'm on almost weekly. So
awesome, good stuff. So hey, quick reminders if you're watching this after the fact. Hey, don't forget to teacher sponsors. Get your teacher sponsor commitment forms in. That is hugely important. We want to communicate with them. Sometimes you may have to sit there and just stand over them during club and say, hey, fill this out and before we leave today. But be sure that you guys get those in, and that'll be great. Today's topic, we're talking about communicating with your student leaders. And how to effectively do that, especially in a world where, maybe 90% of your student leaders don't go to your church, and so you don't see them a lot. Maybe a lot of your student leaders are, so you have that, great ability to meet with them, during your midweek services or on Sunday morning, and just, give them those reminders. But anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and then just briefly touch on that. Next 2 weeks. Clubs are finishing up, and so you want to make sure that you're just kind of having a quote-unquote epic Christmas party to finish off the semester well. But anyways, Luke, talk to me a little bit about how you engage in communicating with student leaders at Deerfield and Somerset.
So at the beginning of the year, when we had our campus club kickoffs, we had a very big push to help the campus mentors really use technology, things like the Remind app, to help get kids connected. For me at Deerfield Beach High, the Remind app has been huge. We have weekly conversations in that, from everything to, hey, if a kid's not going to be able to make it, they're able to, hey, who can cover for me? Who can be a greeter this week? I was signed up to be a greeter, and man, I'm not going to make it. Or, hey, I wasn't at school today. So that tool in and of itself is, man, it's worth its weight in gold, because it allows us to keep everybody on the same page. It allows us to utilize the students. Our student leaders actually are the ones that run it and maintain it. I'm just one of the ones on it. And so I get to see everything that goes. And if they have a question, hey, how should we handle this? Man, easy dialogue through that. That's been the primary way of staying connected with our students at Deerfield Beach High. It's a little different at Somerset, because we literally started Somerset. We launched with one kid. And so it was really kind of easy, because it was just one. When you got 15 student leaders or 5 student leaders, that's where it can be like a little bit more tricky. That's why Remind is a great deal. Somerset with one, it was easy. Man, it was just me and him. And so communicating with him, just showing up at the school. Hey, how's it going today? What are we doing? What's our plan? How are we going to do this? And so that's Remind's probably the best thing for me in how we keep contact with our student leaders.
So, we got Remind, and there's a lot out there. You've got Slack, you've got WhatsApp, you've got, GroupMe. Those are just a bunch of other really good platforms that I know other student pastors use to communicate, help communicate effectively with their student leaders on a regular basis. But talk a little bit about, mine down on that, what are do you make sure that they do this weekly, daily, every other day? What are some things you're trying to instill in the student leaders of how to make sure that they're communicating with everybody clearly, but also on a regular basis?
Sure. So obviously, using the EPIC strategy, we set aside time in our equip week to kind of go through roles and responsibilities of our student leaders. But every week we have our student leaders make sure that the remind is pushed out, making sure the kids are going to be responsible for the areas that they've signed up for, areas that they've got other students involved in. So that's a weekly conversation that has to happen. If you don't have that, then your club's not functioning properly, right? So you don't have, man, you're going to miss greeters. You're going to miss somebody who's getting the Proclaim Week speaker. How are we connecting with them on that? So it's a weekly dialogue. It's making sure, I know some schools have, what do we call them? Representatives, officers. Not every school has that, but you have those student leaders and instilling in them the importance of communicating. Every ministry, every organization has to have communication, right? So that everybody knows what they're doing. And so making sure, hey, this week, who's going to be sending out the remind? Who's going to be making sure that we push that out to those that are involved with that? They do a great job, at least at Deerfield High, they do a great job communicating through that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but the premise is making sure that it goes out every week, because that's our main way of communicating. I'm not on the campus every single day, obviously, and so how do we make sure that bases are being covered? That's how we do it.
Okay, so you hit on something a little bit that kind of sparked a question for me, and it's this: you have the students do this; they're the ones pushing that out on a regular basis, and so how did you set them up for that success for them to do that on a regular basis? Because we may have people watching that like, I got a brand new club, or I've got kids that just this is all new to them. How did you really kind of get them to that point of being able to do this on a regular basis?
So obviously, in order to be effective, at least for me, I feel the way that I'm most effective is through building those relationships. So when I go into a club, and man, obviously we engage with the students and we talk, but when we're done, when the club's over, man, we have a time of, our leadership team always meets after the club is over so that we can prepare, so that we can know. Man, it took us a while. Remember, I've had 2 years at Deerfield High. So the first year, it didn't operate this way. But afterwards, identifying who your strong leaders are, identifying kids that are plugged into churches that have a passion to see their campus reached for Christ. Those are the ones you want to identify, and then helping to give them the tools, helping them, hey, what is the best way for us to communicate? Let them mind through, well, we can use these apps, or hey, we'll just text each other, whatever. No, how do we get everybody on the same page? What is the best resource? And for us, it was Remind. For us, it was I have 2 students who, man, they're natural leaders by nature. You can just tell. And not only that, they have a passion to reach their campus for Christ. And so it was easy for me to say, hey, let's utilize this resource, and I want you guys to take it. It's easy for me to take over. It's easy for us as mentors to kind of go, well, I'll just do it. But then we actually do a disservice to our clubs, because they need to be student-led. We need to equip those students with those resources. And that may mean there's a week that, guess what, they drop the ball. That's okay. That gives you a chance the next week to go in, or the next cycle, to say, hey, and we weren't really effective last week. What can we do this time to make it better? And so it's teaching opportunities. It's teaching moments. But we do that after every epic or every club, so that we can almost debrief. And that's just the teaching time that we use to equip those students to make it the best way possible.
So, okay, so I listen, this is really good, and really teaching them. I love how you say, listen, hey, let them fail. Let them mess up. It's okay. They're going to learn from that. So now let's talk a little bit about that. This is inner club communication with the student leaders, helping them communicate well. I love how you said, like, hey, listen, it didn't start out well. didn't start out real good. They didn't know, and you allowed them to kind of take ownership of that. What about the rest of the school? How are they communicating with everybody other than just like, okay, yeah, we're going to throw a couple posters up and we're going to try to get an announcement done? What are some ways that they're effectively communicating throughout really the rest of the school?
Sure. So at the beginning of this year, this was actually a topic. How can we make first priority known? How can we get the word out, even amongst a school of 3,000 students? What's the best way? Outside of, listen, the prayer cards are huge, right? We use those all of the time. We're writing down kids' names that we're praying for, that we want to personally invite. And those are great. But we came up with an idea that we said we want to be effective as much as we can, using simple things, right? So we had a drive where we literally, I got some right here, we literally bought a ton of Post-it notes, right? Just a ton of Post-it notes where we put an invite or an encouraging word and signed it first priority on every locker in the school. Where we had this drive, this initiative, let's get the word out. Let's talk. Let's share it. We just used Post-it notes, going through and putting it on every locker on the school, just words of encouragement to every student, and then inviting them to our club. Every week it's a new challenge, right? Every week it's a new, hey, how can we get the word out? Hey, who are you inviting? Who are you talking to? And it really starts with your leadership team, your key students. If you can keep them fired up, if you can keep them encouraged, hey man, look, I know you invited 15, but 2 came. How awesome is it that those 2 came? Always emphasizing the positive, man, that's going to help you build that club, man. It's going to
celebrating the win. It's celebrating the successes. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's easy to look at the negative, right? Like, oh man, I invited 15 and only 2 came. No, man, 2 came. Like, that's a big difference. Like you're saying, celebrating the positives, the win is key in every club.
That's good, man. That's good stuff. And I know that, communicating to the entire school a lot of times is really hard. And how do you do that? And so we're talking about, communicating with the school, and we're talking about how to effectively communicate, with our students and student leaders. And some of the things that I have seen is, especially this time of year rolling into Christmas, is, candy canes, just attaching an invite card to a candy cane, hand them out to friends, getting everybody fired up for, hey, we got this big Christmas party, this big Christmas bash. One of the things that we do in Palm Beach County is we've got a great relationship with FCA, and what we do is we actually do a partner to combine Proclaim Week with both clubs, and it's in a different location, and just really encouraging everybody, saying, hey, we got pizza, we got Chick-fil-A, it's going to be a big party, and getting a really good speaker to come and to share, and that's just, and they make their own posters for it. They really get the announcements out. They really do a good job at getting the word out. And as you said, it's getting creative. It's utilizing some of that those right brain kids that are in your group to say, hey, what do you got in there that we can do to get get more people here, get more friends to come, and utilizing that creativity throughout the not just at one time of the year, but throughout the entire year. Luke, I really love how you say, like, every week, okay, that challenge. What are some of those other challenges that you guys have done that has worked well?
I know that, man, just the big thing for us is where we're located sometimes can be hard, trying to get kids, hey, where is this classroom on campuses that are huge? I know for me at Somerset this past week, we made it a priority. Again, I started with 1 kid at Somerset. We made it a priority when we walked in, and it was our Proclaim week. Hey, we had like 3 kids, and that's easily to get discouraged. Man, we got a big Proclaim week. We got 3 kids in here. So here's what we did. We literally just started walking the halls. Hey, where are you going? You're going to practice? Hey, what time does that start? Oh, you got 30 minutes? Hey, come. We got free pizza for you, man. We're going to play a game. Literally engaging students to come and then walking them to our room. It's hard to find. Hey, you don't know where it's at? That's all right. I'm going to take you. I'll show you where it's at. Engaging kids and not being afraid to go up and if they say, hey, no thanks, all right, no big deal. That's fine. Go on to the next group. For us at Somerset this past week, man, we had 17 kids come just because we walked the halls and invited them. We had nothing else going on. They didn't even really know that we were doing first priority, but because we made the attempt to get out of their classroom and go say, hey, we're going to go and literally bring kids back. Man, we had 17 show up just because we actually went out and invited them. So it's a challenge sometimes to even get the word out with your own leadership team, right? Hey, we passed out all of our invite cards. All right, well, what's the next step? Man, go and actually engage them. Go and say, come with me right now. Let's go. You got nothing going on. When's mom and dad picking you up? Oh, you got 25 minutes to wait? Well, come hang out with us. Hey, come play a game with us. And here's the deal. Every kid for us, every kid that had like sports to go to or whatever, they stayed the entire time. They heard the gospel. They didn't leave. You know what I mean? Like, so engaging them with purpose. Hey, no, man, come check out what we're doing. I found has been probably one of the most successful things is literally just going and asking.
Absolutely. And that's one of the keys is and that's even hard for us adults, is just engaging people saying, hey, would you come to church with me? Would you, would you go to youth group with me? Would you go to club with me? Those are sometimes some, hard kind of barriers to overcome, but this is just true all around that when all of a sudden your friend comes, it gets you fired up. It gets you excited. And all of a sudden you begin, your brain kind of begins to think, this is easy. I can do this. And so that's just a really, really cool thing. And especially this time, we're talking about Christmas, moving into having this kind of real epic end of the year, December, your December Proclaim Week. This is it's a big one. There's a lot of kids that, that they start dual enrollment next semester, so they're not going to be able to come to club. You got kids that maybe transfer to another school. You got kids that may end up moving away. It's a transition time over Christmas break, and things happen and people move around and schedule shift, and so being able to really capitalize on what you have, in this next 2 weeks of being able to say, hey, listen, we're going to have just an incredible opportunity. We're making it really good. Get some giveaways. Go to Chick-fil-A and say, hey, can we get some sandwich cards to hand out to students? All that kind of stuff. Just go grab a bunch of candy bars from somewhere, and just be like, hey, hey, whoever brings in friends, man, you're gonna get to pick from the candy jar. Those kinds of things. Being able to kind of say, hey, we're really gonna hype this up, make it good. Giving things away is a great thing, and promoting that, saying, hey, man, we've got Chick-fil-A, or we've got pizza, and we got candy we're giving away. I mean, kids love free stuff. Kids go nuts for free stuff. And so, being able to kind of do that. And, and I know sometimes, you're a student pastor. You're like going, my gosh, I got to take some money out of my budget for this. Well, guess what? Listen, it works. And, it works in your student ministry. When you have a big event, you're saying, hey, we're giving an iPad away. Kids show up.
Absolutely.
It's a free thing. And so, utilize that, being creative with your invites. I had a school one year that the week before their Proclaim Week, they just went around and just sang carols. They just kind of, they're some singers, and they just kind of went around and sang carols and handed out invite cards as they were going around. And, so it's like using those things, but your Proclaim Week for Christmas is one where it's like people are kind of thinking about that. They're thinking, what is Christmas? What is it all about? What's the meaning behind it? I see these baby Jesus mangers everywhere. What is that? People they're thinking about it, and everybody loves to come to a Christmas party, and getting cookies and all that fun stuff is just really good. And good stuff, Luke, man. Appreciate you. All the hard work you're doing, obviously not just with, First Priority in leading the charge there at North Broward, but what you're doing at Grace and the balancing act that is student ministry and school. Because you guys got a school there on campus, and I know that's always a difficult task to balance and manage. And but Luke, you're doing a great job, and so keep it up. And so everybody that's listening and watching today, thank you so much for being on, and be sure to tune in next week, and look forward to seeing you then.